Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart.
Well, my name is Trudy Kretschmann, and I'm 82 years old, and I'm enjoying life tremendously. Maybe more than when I was about 50. I have fewer problems. I have lots of good friends. I have my family. I've got my writing group and my garden, my wonderful garden. So I am delighted to be alive and still able to garden. When I first came to America as almost 7-year-old, and how important the library was to me, because up until that time I was a lonely little girl, and my stepfather was not much of a nurturing spirit, so he was not very helpful. My mother worked, and I was alone a lot of the time until I found the library, and that became my savior. Little kitty cat. Anyway, once I found my way into the books, that became my friend. The books were most important to me because I could lose myself in them. I used to love fairy tales with magic kingdoms and so forth, so that it was a very different kind of life than I was living at the time. We did not have a car. We were very poor, actually. A friend of my parents had a car, and it was a great treat for me to be taken on an outing in the car, but we never had a car. All through those years living with my parents, we never had a car, we never had a telephone, we never had television, wasn't even thought of in those days. What I used to have to do if I wanted to call my friends, I would go down to the corner drugstore, again, put in a nickel to make a telephone call. So times have changed tremendously. I lived at home until I was 18, and then graduated from high school. But what I had wanted to do in high school is I wanted to go into the academic course, because, without bragging about it, but I had gone to junior high school, and I had won the first place best medal for the females. There was one best medal for the females, one for the males in those days. And because I loved learning, I loved all parts of it. And so that was kind of the beginning of my wanting to learn more, because I was good at it and enjoyed it. But my parents always thought, being from sort of a narrow-minded kind of thinking, that what was the point of giving an education to a woman, a young woman, because she will only get married and have children. I graduated from high school with recommendations for becoming a secretary, and that's how I started, by becoming a secretary for Carbide and Carbon Chemical Corporation in the middle on 42nd Street of Manhattan. And in those days, the secretary started in a huge pool. It was a mammoth room, and there were many desks, many small desks, and you would not take dictation, but you would plug earphones in, and the other end of the earphone was into a cylinder. And then when the cylinder began to roll, then that's when you began to type. And that's how you typed from the cylinder letters that many young men who were in training had dictated into the cylinder machine. Now, I eventually remarried Arthur Kretschmann, who was 19 years older than I, and his family was looking kind of askance at the idea. But we were married for a very long time, 47 years. And he died at age 93, having lived a very fulfilling life. And I was glad to be part of that. During that time, of course, I gave birth to 2 wonderful children, Amy and Arthur. And Amy, my daughter, is now the mother of 2 wonderful daughters. And so that has helped, that helped me and my life and the enjoyment of my life. Eventually, I did land a job at Emory University, and it was only, I believe I was only able to do that because while we lived in Brunswick, I fulfilled my real drive to go back to college. Brunswick has a junior college. I was 38 years old and had been away from school for 20 years. And it really was daunting for me to try to take the SATs and hope to be accepted. So many times I am saying to myself, I am so blessed. I am so lucky to be living in this time in the progression of the world, so that I, at age 82, am active. I can still garden every day, which is one of my passions. Intellectually, I'm stimulated by Emory University OLLI, which is a part of Emory that is for retired folks only. I teach a course there in poetry and in gardening. To live nowadays is marvelous because it gives you the ability to continue the things that you love to do, and in the days that I remember growing up, well, you were done for by about age 70 at the most. Many times in the past, with my friends and just with people that you meet, you oftentimes, all you see is an old person. You see the wrinkles in the face, you see the little trembling in the hands, and you don't look beyond that point. But you know, if you look into the eyes of those people, you can almost recognize the fact that there has been a life lived there, wonderful life, perhaps adventure, you know, an airplane pilot, a soldier in the wartime, and also wonderful ways of making a living, retired doctors and nurses and all kinds of people that had an active and wonderful life. And oftentimes all you do when you meet people is just look at the outside, and you don't look at the inside. If you allow yourself to look at the inside, you will find a wonderful person of great interest.
Look at all you do right just by being alive. Now here is the best part. You have a head start if you are amongst the very young. At home